All right, so last time we spent time talking about matter and the properties of matter. Well, today we're going to talk about atoms. We're going to go more in depth next lesson, but I want to get you guys started on what we actually know about atoms. So, first things first. What is matter made of? Because we just spent all this time talking about matter and the properties of matter, but now I'm jumping to something else. Well, it's because we know, number one, that matter makes up everything. Everything that takes up space is matter. My phone, my portable charger, my controller. These are all made of matter. So that being said, what makes up matter? We know matter makes up everything else, then what makes up matter? Well, to answer that question, matter is made of atoms. Atoms are what are called atomic particles. They make up all things. They're extremely small. So, I have a pencil here. If I were to take my pencil and we looked at the very tippy top point of this pencil, I know it's out of focus, but I'm doing the best I can. If we look at the tippy top of this pencil, we would find that there are millions, and I don't exaggerate when I say that, there are literally millions of atoms that rest on the tippy top of every pencil. Now, atoms, just like everything else, they are made up of even smaller particles. These smaller particles, there are three of them. They are different. They are protons, neutrons, and electrons. So, let's go to the next slide. So, three parts of an atom: proton, neutrons, electrons. Each one is different. Each one has a different job. Protons, they are positively charged particles. We call them subatomic particles because they are smaller than atoms. So, atoms are atomic. Things smaller than atoms are subatomic. Protons are a positively charged subatomic particle, and they determine the element of our atom. We're going to go more into this next time, but I want to at least introduce the idea to you. But without going into too much detail, the number of protons directly affects the type of element our atoms are. So things like oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, helium, these all have different numbers of protons in every single one of the atoms. Not all the heliums have different numbers of protons. It's helium has a different number than oxygen, which has a different number than hydrogen, which has a different number than nitrogen. Just want to clarify that real quick. Neutrons, these are our neutral charged subatomic particle. This means their charge is factually a zero. It is neither positive nor negative. It is nothing. These affect the weight of our atom. So I'll go into more details about this next class once again. But protons have weight and neutrons have weight. These two things together create the weight of our atom. If I have two hydrogens, because they're the same element, they both have to have the same number of protons. But they can have different numbers of neutrons, which means they have different weights. Electrons are our negatively charged subatomic particle. These have almost no weight. It's so incredibly close to zero. It's crazy how close to zero it actually gets. But these are negatively charged, and they determine the charge of our atom. So, protons. These determine the element. Neutrons determine the weight. Electrons determine the charge. That's the three jobs of these three different particles. Now, last slide for the day. Boom. Take a look at this picture. This is roughly one of the main designs of the atom. If you actually take the time to look up atomic structure, you'll find that scientists very much disagree with this structure of the atom, but this is a simple structure, and it's simple enough for me to give you guys the idea. Number one, if you look at the center of the atom, there are protons and neutrons there. Protons have our positive charge, so I'm going to use my mouse cursor. Protons have our positive charge, they're in the center. Neutrons have our neutral charge, they are also in the center. This is where they are located in an actual atom. This center of the atom is called the nucleus. And as I said before, this is where our protons and neutrons are. I know sometimes I repeat myself. I repeat myself for emphasis to make sure we're hearing me, and I say the same things over and over again. The electrons, however, they are not in the nucleus. They are not in that center ball. they actually are rotating around the atom. So they don't go in perfect circles, but electrons are just rapidly at like super high speeds, just going around the center of the atom at all times. They go in different directions, they go in different shapes, but they are always constantly moving around the center of the atom. So, that was a lot of talking. All right, so here's what we're going to do next time. Just that's the way we know what's going on next time. We're going to spend some time, we're going to talk about the periodic table of elements, and we're actually going to spend some time looking at these three details about the atom. We're going to kind of tie those two things together. So I'm going to introduce you guys to the periodic table next time, and then we're going to show like what the atomic structure actually does in terms of determining different like things with the periodic table. What I want you guys to do today, we've got some more questions, nice and easy Google form. Hopefully it's not too long. I try to, if you notice, I've kept these things under 8 minutes. I want to try to keep these videos that I'm putting out in that time range. That way you guys have plenty of time. This doesn't take you too long, but I digress. Everyone have a good day and a good night, and I'll see you guys next time.